The worst Japanese learning mistake you could be making right now. And when I say right now, I mean right now as we speak. And that is not doing immersion. What is immersion? Immersion is consuming Japanese content and specifically without dubbing or English subtitles. What I mean is you will be watching Japanese audio and Japanese subtitles, nothing else. With this, you also want to be doing deliberate practice, which means specifically concentrating on remembering the words and on learning the language. When you see a word that you don't know or don't understand, you can use Toolit to extract it, or you can just write it down and revise it and revise it and revise it until you know. Why would you do that? When I started learning Japanese, I of course didn't know anything and I would learn hiragana, katakana. When I learned them, I started learning kanji and I was like, what the fuck? They are so hard. They have over 20 strokes and I started giving up. Maybe some words, including those kanji. But I really wasn't able to speak Japanese or didn't understand it because I knew just a bunch of words or symbols without any context. It was like a bucket where I pour my Japanese skills and learning, but there is a hole inside of it and it's quite big. I'm forgetting the words, forgetting the kanji. I have to revise them all the time, but still forgetting them. And that is because I have no reason to actually remember it, or at least my brain doesn't have any reason. Maybe I see some phrase in anime that I don't understand, I didn't understand, and now I do. But that is everything. And the truth is, how did you learn your native language? Maybe in school you had some subject on English or whatever language was native for you. But the truth is that you already understood it before to even be able to learn it or have the subject. And the same thing you want to do with Japanese. You want to listen to it, speak it, and do it for such a long time that it will actually feel natural for you and you will be able to speak it completely like a native person. When you don't do immersion, the unnatural phrases, words, or sentences will start creeping in. If you ever learned Japanese with Duolingo or basically any app for learning Japanese, they teach you a lot of stupid words, stupid phrases that no Japanese people would actually use, and they teach you unnecessary words, so you will sound like a robot. Maybe if you want to say, if you want to ask your friend what is he doing, you would ask what you doing in English, and equivalent of these apps in English is they would teach you, what are you doing right now, my friend? Something like that. And this way, you will also seem in Japanese if you learn from Japanese apps and you are not doing immersion, so you don't see how Japanese people actually speak, or at least anything close to it. You will have no intuition. And that is another great benefit of learning Japanese through immersion. You have the intuition, what is right, what is wrong, and when you actually learn something, you think, ah, that makes sense, or ah, I heard that before, and everything starts connecting, all the pieces fall in, you know what I mean. But when you don't have this intuition, everything is like doing a puzzle, but every time you put a piece to the board, it disappears. It is there, but you don't see it. And you have a lot of pieces, you don't know which connect to which, you don't see anything. Another thing is pitch accent. If you didn't know, Japanese people have pitch accent, so some words are written the same. For example, these two, hashi and hashi, but they mean different thing. and the only difference between them is the way you pronounce them. For example, hashi means bridge or edge, and hashi means chopsticks. Every Japanese word, sentence, or particle has its own pitch accent, and when you don't pronounce it correctly, you may sound weird, there can even be misunderstanding, and of course, you are not going to sound fluent, which is what you want, right? When you have the intuition, it will be a lot of easier for you to learn the correct pitch accent. And of course, when you are learning Japanese through immersion, so you are listening to a lot of Japanese content, you want to be doing listening and reading, not only reading the novels, listening also for the pitch accent. You will pronounce it correctly sometimes, even when you didn't specifically learn the word for the pitch accent. If you don't, then you will have to learn taberu, low, high, low. For every word, you will just have to remember it, which is quite annoying. By the way, if you want to commit to learning Japanese and learn it even further, check the first link in the description, which is my full Japanese course for beginners, where I teach you the complete basics of Japanese. And if you are better, then a lot of mistakes you could be making, which makes you sound rude or weird. And this way you can prevent weirding out Japanese people or even making them angry. So if you want to see a lot of more detailed structure, join my community, you will be welcomed. I hope that I convinced you to the immersion, and here is one bonus tip to completely skyrocket your Japanese, which is speaking to camera. If you ever learned second language and this is your third one, you may have experienced that you understand quite good, but your speaking skill is That of course happens because you don't practice speaking the language enough. And one quick tip on that is that you would just speak to your camera. I started doing this when I realized that my speaking skill in Japanese is quite shit. So I just put my phone, camera, and started recording and just started talking. You can do 10 seconds, even 5. You can even just say one word. Konnichiwa. Anything is okay. If you start doing this every day, your Japanese will become a lot of better and you will also be able to speak it correctly and this way even understand. Japanese is said to be one of the hardest languages and there is also the pitch accent which I have told you about before. And if you want to practice it, you can just do this every day, put your camera on, and maybe today at the end of the day, you can just record. If you are better in Japanese, you can do even a diary, maybe for a minute or two. You can speak about your experiences or how your day was, and you will become a lot better. By the way, maybe you were wondering why I said that you are doing the mistake right now, and that was because right now you should be immersing instead of watching this video. So as this ends, go and do some immersion. You need it a lot.